Hello, everyone. This is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. Today, we are exploring the future of real estate and why smart devices are no longer enough to manage modern portfolios. In 2026, institutional owners need a centralized operating system that unifies everything from access control to resident engagement to survive in a competitive market. Joining us today is Demetrios Barnes, CEO at One Valet. With a deep background in property administration and technology leadership from Arizona State University, Demetrios has become a leading voice in multifamily innovation. He is here to show us how a true smart building operating system can simplify operations, improve asset performance, and drive measurable growth. So, before further ado, let's welcome this special guest. Demetrios, welcome to the podcast. Such a pleasure to have you
Kripa,
with us.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Really excited for our discussion today.
So am I. Now, Demetrios, the multifamily industry has historically been slow to modernize, often relying on a patchwork of, disconnected hardware. So let's start the conversation by understanding, for those who may not know the company yet, what is One Valley and what exactly is the problem that it's solving in the multifamily industry? Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. One Valet is focused on really simplifying access to the community, managing the various different hardware that could be deployed or should be deployed at a community, but ultimately ensuring that the resident and the operator have a great experience going beyond hardware, really simplifying, bringing a lot of different opportunities and activities inside a cohesive experience. So we build great hardware from an intercom. We manage a bunch of different activities and hardware on the community, and
Mhm.
we make sure the end user, the renter, the homeowner, they've got a wonderful experience on their cell phone to engage and operate.
Definitely. It's fascinating how a single point of friction in a resident's day can, reveal a massive operational gap for an entire building. So, what idea came to your mind? Like, how did you get into doing what you're doing today?
Great question. So my journey started as a property manager.
Uh
So
huh.
I was a leasing agent in college. I didn't know that my career 20 years later would evolve into building tech and all of these things. But I was a leasing agent, and so understanding the challenges that happen on site,
Yeah.
the amount of focus that I don't have to think about software or anything like that. I'm really
Yeah.
just focused on how do I deliver a great experience? How do I get people to want to live, at the communities that I operated at?
Uh huh.
Fast forward, I ended my career as an operator, as a VP for one of the largest single-family managers in North America.
Wow.
And then in 2017, my previous life, I founded a smart home company where we built that out over the last few years. And I joined One Valley recently because what I still felt was missing was smart homes, smart building companies, their experiences were solely focused on just the hardware itself. And what tends to happen is with this massive explosion and massive adoption in the property management space for tech,
Yeah.
now the renters and the operators still have a lot of different solutions that they need to now operate or live with inside a building. An example, Kripa, let's assume that you move into a new building tomorrow. There's a
Yeah.
really good chance your operator is going to have you download two, three, four,
Yep.
five different services upon move-in. And if you're like me, you don't want all of these apps on your phone. In the smartphone revolution in 2010, apps are awesome. Like I want all the apps.
Yeah.
In 2026, I want as few of apps as humanly possible because I'm actually tired of bouncing around all these things on my phone. I want to live life. So I was really excited to join One Valet because the renter journey, the end user journey, was taking all of these different apps and
Yeah.
putting them into one while
Mhm.
also ensuring that all of these different devices were still managed. So I was really excited to get back into this space, work with One Valet, and take this one app style concept into the community. And while I talk about the app, I also got to talk about the intercom system, the console that we call it. We've got some patented technology that allows a really seamless experience, whether that's facial recognition, whether that's packages, getting into buildings,
Yeah.
so that you're decreasing the amount of touch points and leveraging biometrics and other ways to gain access to a building. So just ultimately simplifying that experience is what we're focused on. And what I was excited about.
But definitely, very well articulated. And recently I just moved into a new building just 1.5 months ago. So I completely understand where you're coming from. This is a very unorganized sector right now, and getting everything under that one platform is definitely going to be a game changer. And on that note, I think this is also a very big differentiator when it comes to the traditional models that are already out there in the market, right? This makes that move from a featured based app to a foundational ecosystem, which is again a significant leap for the entire industry. And it's clear that One Valet isn't just adding tech, it's changing the fundamental experience for both residents and staff. So that's amazing to know. um, Also on that note, coming back to your journey as the CEO, you've led the company since a lot of years before becoming the official CEO as well, right? So, what is the difference that you realize from a mindset perspective when you think about the strategy for the brand, and also what is your thing that you enjoy the most about being the CEO now?
When you're building something, you always want to be innovative. You always want to push bounds,
Yeah,
and so we want to keep that at the heart of what we do. What we're taking on the hard problem, which is managing a lot of different technology and keeping that in one place. So that's where we want to stay focused. But what I enjoy the most. It's not just working alongside great people who are building great things and servicing our customers.
yeah,
But where I love spending my time is talking with our customers, engaging with them, and making sure that we are not just building a new feature for the sake of building a feature, not just what's the cool thing that we can do tomorrow. It's
yeah,
really making sure that what we are delivering is actually being used and I'm actually solving a problem, right?
right,
Again, the challenge that we see in 2026 is there's some new flashy tech at our fingertips
yeah,
every day. And I think unfortunately we're getting away from solving problems. Like I tell our customers, if you don't have to log into my platform all day long, then I'm doing the right thing. Because when you're managing a community or homes, you shouldn't be living in software. You should be talking to your customers. You should be making sure that their experience is great. And so if I can create an environment where you can do your job but better, then I'm
yeah.
doing something right. So again, what makes me excited is ensuring that we are building purposely and we're solving actual problems, not just coming up with new colors or what's the new feature of the day. I mean, we want to be innovative, but that innovation has to be focused around how our customers are using our platform.
So definitely, that is a very important pain point that you are addressing. On that note, let's do a little time travel. If I were to give you a time machine right now and say we were to go 5 or 10 years into the future, when you get out of that time machine, how exactly do you envision the Canadian landscape or the North American landscape, adapting this, and like what do you see?
Yeah, the great question. Um, the world that I see in 5 to 10 years are companies extremely focused on their brand,
Mm-hmm.
very similar to how hotels operate today,
Mm-hmm.
where renters and customers, they're choosing to live in communities because there's a real sense of community, not just because it's the right price point.
Yeah.
And owners and operators can really focus on the brand they're delivering, their experience they're delivering, And so that's where I see the shift happening in multifamily today. Right now, you've got operators really investing in a lot of money to get to that experience. So in 5 to 10 years, you're going to see more of that. You go across, you go across the lakes, across the pond, across the oceans, and you're seeing more of that in other markets. Whether that's in the Middle East and Asia, where very branded buildings and branded
Yeah.
residences are coming to fruition. So I see a lot of that happening in North America. Number two, I really see a cohesion between the building and the building starting to come alive beyond just what cool little piece of technology is inside the home, or what the operator has to do to engage with the renter. I
Yeah.
think the building starts to engage with the renter on behalf of the operator. So you have this world where I wake up in the morning, the building is now suggesting things for me.
Hmm.
I don't want to say it's a Jetsons environment where coffee's automatically being made for me, but ultimately, as I walk out of my home or my apartment, and I start to walk towards the elevator, maybe the elevator's automatically called for me, so that I don't even have to push that button. And as I walk outside the building, it knows that I'm coming. And maybe there's a sign, or my phone vibrates and says, by the way, don't leave. You got a package out there, right? So
Yeah.
things start to happen a little bit more automatically because the buildings are a little bit more cohesively built. In 10 years, I actually think there's going to be more tech companies that are buying and operating buildings. And so I think
Hmm.
there's going to be this convergence of operators and tech companies really starting to intertwine their business, so that those two aren't at odds one another. They're actually working really, really strongly together. And I think you're seeing this happen right now, all across the world, in smaller use cases. And I'll give you an example without naming names. A really large tech accounting platform purchased a large co-working business, right? And so you wonder, wait, if you're making that bet, what do you think is going to happen? So I think over the next few years, you're going to start to see this convergence of tech and real estate, not just from a services perspective, but from an operational perspective, start to come together. You may see a One Valet logo on a building because
Yeah.
maybe One Valet has its own building where we're creating smart buildings, and all of this experience comes together.
Very interesting. You've painted quite a picture there. The future definitely looks very promising, and we can't wait to see what it unfolds. And on that note, here's a special message for all of our listeners, specifically for all the Canadian real estate leaders. Are you still managing your properties with 10 different disconnected apps? As Demetrios just mentioned as well, the building operating system is the new standard. If you want to increase your property value and lower your overhead in 2026, you need to stop thinking about prop tech as an additional add on and start seeing as your building's most important utility. The future is unified. Don't get left behind. Now, back to our guest. So, DB, I'm loving this conversation, and definitely I'd love for you to be back, maybe an in studio episode that we do the next
Sure.
that we do. But for now, before we let you go, if there's one success mantra that you follow in life, right? Everyone has, a different thing that they tell themselves. We all have those days when we don't want to get out of bed, but we still do, right? So, what's that thing that pushes you to go forward no matter what?
Love that. Without the obvious thinking about my family and my children, and what really, really pushes me, the mantra that I say to myself and everyone else around me,
Yeah.
just say yes. I think too often, we as humans, we as societies, we as business owners, we as team members, I think too often we start to think about what are the reasons why I can't do something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've just kind of submit to the idea that just wake up, and how can you say yes today? Most likely that's going to lead to an awesome conversation, an awesome
Yeah.
opportunity, an environment that, maybe you wouldn't have normally had. So I challenge everybody. Just say yes today. And that's what I tell myself or try to do every single day.
Beautiful. That's a ray of hope and sunlight that you've just showed to all of our listeners. DB, it has been such a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights.
Kripa, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. Look forward to doing this in person.
Of course, looking forward to it as well. All right, that was Demetrios Barnes from One Valet, a masterclass in how to centralize operations and leverage intelligent infrastructure to maximize asset value. To all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and visit CanadianSME.ca for more such resources. And lastly, a very special thank you to our podcast partners, UPS and ADP, our HR partner, for their ongoing commitment to empowering SMBs across Canada. I'll see you all in the next episode. Kripa Anand signing off.